Recently, I've seen a few people ask about connecting an MPC-X to a MioXL and then going from the MioXL Ethernet over to a computer so we can set up some sequences in our MPC-X and then send it through over Ethernet to our computer. And we'll use the MioXL to bridge the gap, specifically in distance as well. If you're running Ethernet, you can run it from the MPC-X from another room or the other side of the room over Ethernet to your computer. So what you'll do is you'll use the USB-A port on the back of your MPC-X, and then you'll run a standard USB-A to USB-B cable to the USB-B DAW port on the front of the MioXL. And that's how you're physically going to connect the MPC-X to the MioXL. And from the MioXL, you're going to run an Ethernet cable to your computer or to a network switch to the computer, however you want to do that side of things. But I'm just going to show you how you can actually set up the routing. So by default, when you have this connection from the USB connection from the MioXL to the MPC, you're going to see all the names from the USB DAW port show up on your MPC. So I don't have an MPC, but I'm going to show you on an iPad app, which I've connected to the USB DAW port on my MioXL. So let me switch over here. So this is AnimoZ. And so if you look at it, the input and output here in my MIDI settings, you can see that we have DIN 1 all the way down to DIN 8. Then we have host 1 to host 7 and preset selector, which are the default names of all the ports on your on the USB DAW on the MioXL. So what we can do is we can actually take one of these ports, any of these ports that maybe aren't being used, and we're going to use that to create a USB to RTP connection. So I'm going to transition back over here to my computer, and we're going to make this edit in Oracle for X Series. So I'm using this MioXL 007, which is the coolest serial number, and we're going to go to MIDI routing to start with. So what we're looking at here, the connection that we have between the MioXL and the MPC are the ones under the device port to computer/DAW. That's the physical port you're connected to, and these are the names that you just seen in my over in my iPad app or on your MPC-X if you're connecting that right now. And you can see all the connections that it's made right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this host 7 port, just because I probably don't have 7 devices connected to the host port. I think I have a few right now. Yeah, there you go. There's just a few devices, so I'm only using 2 host ports. So I'm going to use host 7 here where I have nothing connected, and we're going to rename that and remap it so that we can create a connection from the MPC or the iPad in this case over to your computer. So let me go back to MIDI routing. Just gonna make those out of the way, and we're gonna go to host 7. I'm gonna rename this MPC-X, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna deselect this blue one to host 7, and we're gonna send it to, you can send it to RTP1, you can send it to any RTP port that you wish or desire. For my situation, I think I'm going to send it to, RTP19. And you're going to wonder why I sent it to RTP19. By default, normally host 7 goes out to RTP19. So I'm just going to make this easy, but you can select any RTP port. And I call that MPC-X. All right, and so now we have the actual connection from the USB on the iPad or the MPC going out to RTP. Now we need to connect the RTP port to our computer. And so I'm going to go to Audio MIDI Setup on my Mac. If you're on Windows, you're going to use the RTP MIDI app, which you can download from our website. And we're going to create a new session here. Just hit the plus button right here to create that new session. And we are going to call it session MPC-X. Make the bonjour the exact same. I'm going to click enable. So I've created this session now, and we'll connect an RTP port, which, as you noted earlier, we're sending out to RTP19. So we're going to connect RTP19 to this session. So we're going to copy this bonjour name, jump back over to Oracle X and go to RTP/network. I'm going to scroll down to 19, which is now named MPCX. We're going to switch it to initiator mode. And we're going to paste in that bonjour name and click save. And once we do that, you can see it's made a connection here. And that's all you have to do to connect up a MIDI port. So one MIDI port will have 16 channels, and now we have a MIDI port going from the iPad all the way over to my computer. So if I open up maybe a MIDI monitor, and now you should be able to see all the MIDI data coming in. So if I press this button, you can see from network MPCX coming in, and clicking MIDI data. I'm actually using the MIDI wrench tool right here and just pressing the keys, which works really well. And we're sending all that data over into our computer. So that's what basically I'm using the MIDI wrench as an MPC sending out a sequence. But you can see all the MIDI data coming in, which is great. Now, if you wanted to create a situation where you're sending from your DAW or your computer back to the MPC, I didn't really show this, but I will show you that part. So we're going to go back to MIDI routing. And what we need to do is we just need to create the route back from RTP19, which is now named MPCX. And normally it's selected on host 7. And we're just going to change this, deselect this, and go over under USB, the DAW port right here, and select the port we named MPCX or host 7. And that should get the routing from your computer back to your MPC in case you want to send some note data or some sequencing from your computer back to the MPC. That's a quick way to get it back as well. So if you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to us at iConnectivity support. Thanks.